Hello there and welcome to a May garden tour here in Nova Scotia. I'm actually filming this May 30th. I said I was going to film it May 29th, but I tried to film it yesterday, but it was so windy. You couldn't hear me very well. So instead of doing a voiceover on a whole video, I just decided to wait a day and make it today. So there's been some big changes in the garden. If you've watched my April garden tour, which was April 29th, here on YouTube. So I've done some improvements. So I replaced my entry with this trellis. I did a video on making this trellis. And then just at the bottom, I planted grapevines. They're just cuttings that I rooted in my basement. And then these are Taiwanese long beans. I don't usually start beans inside. I usually just direct seed. But these take a little bit longer to grow, so I did start them inside. So hopefully we'll get some nice long stringy beans coming off of this trellis this year. This is my flower garden out front here. So I just stuck this oregano here and it looks good enough, so I think it's going to stay. Last year this was almost all poppies, calendula, and chamomile, and some sunflowers. And this year only one poppy came up. There was literally thousands of them in here, and I thought they'd just self-seed. And I don't know if it's because we had all the ice we had this winter, but yeah, one little poppy is all that came up. So I decided to just fill up the space with other things I had. I stuck some parsley here, there's calendula. I stuck some new echinacea plants in the back, sunflower, chamomile, hollyhock. Some black and white nasturtiums are up in the front here, and then a trailing nasturtium. So yeah, I just stuck little things in. This is a mini sunflower, one cosmos, and then these are echinacea that I planted here last year. Actually, I think the two smaller ones are from last year, and the two bigger ones are from the year before. So they should be looking lovely this year. And then this is silver mound. So this should fill in nicely. I've actually taken down most of my fence. There's still a couple of pieces up. A lot of the netting got ripped this winter because of the ice load. So instead of replacing it with the same thing, I'd like to replace it with something better. So for this year, I just took the fencing down. And then over here, I just kept this little storage area. And then these are perennial herbs I had in pots. And I think the weather last year was just a little too harsh because I don't really see much of anything coming back. This is winter savory. It is still alive, but not thriving. So we'll just pop into the greenhouse here. So in here is things I'm planning on planting out probably on Sunday. I'll do my big plant out. We're doing our seedling sale here tomorrow. I don't know how well it's going to go because it's supposed to rain, but we'll see how it goes. So this is what I have yet to plant. This is all ready to go in the ground, just peppers, tomatoes, sorghum, and some corn. And then what do I have down here? I have some squash that I just started, some basil, some zinnias, marigold, a couple of cucumbers there. So yeah, this will be planted out probably Sunday. I like to plan my planting my warm vegetables, especially when I know we're going to have rain and it's supposed to be a rainy weekend. So these first two rows, they used to be two separate rows, but they sort of just become one big block now. This is all strawberries. All these strawberries came from one pack of strawberry starts from Walker's here in Dartmouth, and they are flourishing this year. I planted them last year in the fall, and I just had them in this one row here. In the fall, I took a bunch of the runners and stuck them over here. So you can see how much that's filled in. Everybody's out on their motorcycles today. I'm trying to film this video, but there never seems to be a good time. But we've got loads of flowers, so probably 3 weeks or so we should be eating strawberries. I did notice some of them are starting to form the ends of the fruit. This is just crawling with pollinators. They are everywhere. There's bees, there's hoverflies, there's anything you can imagine is swimming through here. So we should have a good strawberry harvest. And then throughout here, these are second year leeks. So I overwintered them and then I moved them over to this garden and they'll go to seed. And I should have some nice fresh leek seeds for next year. And the reason I put them here is because I'm not going to worry about them overshadowing the strawberries because the strawberries will be done by the time they're flowering. This is some chives here that are starting to flower. So pretty. If you take the flowers off and put them in vinegar, you get a nice oniony flavored vinegar that turns pink. So yeah, I did what I could weeding through here, but yeah, it's hard to weed around established plants, so I just did the best that I could. Now that the dandelions are yellow and white, it is easy to see where the ones are I missed. So because the dandelions are turning white, that's one of my indicators that the warm weather plants can go out. And these next 3 rows, I weeded and just mulched with wood chips. This is all garlic. So in total, I planted 1,000 garlic last year. And that would have been mid-November. So this is the height of them here in Nova Scotia in the last couple days of May. Now, for the first time ever, I usually have 100% germination on my garlic, but I'm noticing I have a few little bare spots here and there, and like that one should have 5 across, and there's only 3. I'm thinking once again it's from all that ice. I think it shifted some of the bulbs and allowed them to rot, and my mulch cover wasn't the greatest on them. That's just laziness on my part. I found especially right here, there's a really big gap. That just whole section just must have really froze solid. Look, there's a bulb on the ground. So I did stick a sunflower in here, and I might stick a pumpkin in here too, because pumpkins won't really start be taking off until after the garlic is harvested. So usually with garlic, right around July 1st is when the scapes are coming off. And then around August 1st is when we're pulling all the bulbs. So, this whole section of the garden, if you remember, was just a complete weedy mess, completely overrun. So what I did in this section is I got my husband to come through with his mini excavator. And rip everything up, and then I went through and hand weeded. Actually, me and my daughter came through it and hand weeded everything, and then I tilled it, and then I put down this weed barrier. This weed barrier is from, oh my god, I can never remember the name. It's a company in Quebec. Anyway, it's meant for commercial gardening. So this is my first year trying it, but so far I'm impressed with it. This area in particular was weeded probably 3.5 weeks ago, and although there's a few things popping through in the wood chip aisles where the barrier is down, I don't see anything popping through. So that's a good first indicator. This first row here is going to be probably paste tomatoes. I have my trampoline poles waiting here for me to build some trellises. I try to reuse everything I possibly can so I don't have to spend any money. And then up at this end, and so you make the holes or anything you're going to plant in, you just have to use like a blowtorch. So I should clear all this dirt off the top of here, but this was me being messy. So I did end up getting 1 box of onion sets. I said I wasn't going to, but there's nothing, fresh onions are so good. So these are coming in pretty good, and I was a little late getting these in as well. They've only been in a couple weeks. And then these back 4 rows are leeks I've started from seed. They seem to be doing great. This next row is going to be more tomatoes. I'll probably do my slicers and my cherry tomatoes in this row. And then at the end of this row, I may put zucchini, or I may put some turnips and radishes, something that has a quick turnover. But I'm actually thinking of maybe putting my turnips over here, because I like to use my turnips as a trap crop for cabbage moss. So I think I will plant turnips here, which means the end of this will be, I have 4 zucchini to put out here. I find 4 zucchini is about great. We live right next to a really popular bike trail, so it's there's always ATVs going by. Yeah, I've got 4 zucchini seems to be a great amount for our family of 5, and that way you're not getting overrun. I do freeze it, grate it and freeze it. I do grate it and freeze it and use it in baking and things, but yeah, 4 zucchini plants seems to be plenty for us. So yeah, then I'll put some turnips and radishes up here. I could have those already planted, I just don't. And I just planted these. This is all my row of beans. So what I did is I put the pole beans down the middle, and then I put bush beans on either side. There's my poles for making my pole bean trellis. Those are the ones for the other tomato trellis. This is Jeff. Jeff, my younger son, grew in school this year, so he's here. He has his own little I am Jeff sign, which might be, oh no, it already wore off. It was on this side. I'll have to get him to come out with a Sharpie and write it on. So these I just planted. I don't expect them to be up at all yet. I'm not seeing any green, and that's just a weed. So yeah, this weed has grown, but not enough to poke through. So we'll see how it goes. I have high hopes for this, but I'm a realist as well. So then this row, as you already saw, this is all cabbage. I think there's 39 heads of cabbage, which seems excessive, but cabbage stores really well. And also, we love sauerkraut. And it's a very versatile vegetable. I usually do a mixture of other brassicas as well, but I find we always gravitate towards the cabbage anyway, so I just did all cabbage this year. This is my dog's beat up soccer ball. This is a row of lettuces. I believe that's the Grand Rapids. This is a red romaine. This one, I believe, got plucked out by a bird because it was laying, part of it was laying here, so it wasn't slugs. And then we have white Boston butterhead lettuce, and then a couple of spinach. I can always replace those with something because I don't find spinach grows all that well here. My timing's always just off. I stuck a parsley transplant in there, and this is a buttercrunch leaf lettuce, and that also has one missing. More spinach, some red Russian kale in the back, and then some green curly kale in the front. I think I'll have to replace that one. I have lots of other transplants, so. And then this is Swiss chard up here. These I just put in the other day. I tried 2 different plans here. So this is all beets, but because I've never used this fabric before, I wasn't sure if I just should plant a seed or if I should do a little transplant, so I did both. So you can see the ones I've transplanted, those little red leaves in there are beets. And then what I'll do is I'll just see how far they grow, and if I'm noticing there's a lot of empty spots, I'll just pop in some seeds. Not worried about that at all. This is a peach tree that every year I say I'm going to cut down, and every year stays here, but it looks okay. I'd love to eat a peach off of it. I think we've had 10 peaches off of it in 6 years or something. So now we get to the next part of the garden. So through here, this was all wooden boxes. I've taken out all the wooden boxes and changed it all into in-ground 3 foot. There, here's the deal. I wanted 3 foot rows. originally when I made my garden, I listened to gardening experts and they all said 4x8 beds, 4x8 beds, 4x8 beds. I think that's fine if you're 6 feet tall. I'm 5'6", and I was having a lot of difficulty reaching into the middle of the beds, especially for harvesting things like beans, something that you harvest all the time, cucumbers, stuff like that. So I decided to go to all 3-foot beds. Now this weed barrier is 4 foot wide, so I did put the wood chips on the edges for pathways. However, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to just cover everything, but where it's my first year using it, I just wasn't really ready to commit to that yet. So we'll see how this goes, and I might do a little something different next year. So what I did through here, this whole area here, is I came through, took out all the wooden beds, I hand weeded everything, and then I came through here with the tiller and then leveled everything out, mounded everything, and put down the weed barrier. So this took a long time. I think I was in this section for a week, and then I was in this section for a week. So I've put in a lot of prep work, and I'm hoping that it translates to less work during harvest season. I want to be harvesting, not weeding. So this whole row here is going to be corn. I've never successfully grown corn here. I know other people have in Nova Scotia, but I have not. But I'm giving it another go. I said I wouldn't, but I am. So this is going to be all corn. This is all just pollen on these beds. I might just come out here with the broom and sweep them off before I burn the holes in it. So going for, 75 heads of corn from never growing corn successfully. One thing I did grow last year that went really well was sorghum. So this whole row is going to be sorghum. This whole row is kind of undecided right now. It's going to be sort of leftovers because I'm having my sale, so I might see what's left over, and then I might not have enough room to plant the corn I have started. We'll see. So this doesn't have a definitive plan, but a bit of a plan. This is my rhubarb. I started this one from seed. I need to cut these flower heads off. I just haven't come out here and done it yet. The sun's out now, but it has not been. So I started this from seed in 2020, I believe, so 5 years ago, and it got huge. And then last year I split it in half, and then this is the other half of it. So now it's starting to put on some amount. There are chives and stuff growing amongst them. But yeah, so I need to cut those flower stalks off. I find the 2 rhubarb is more than enough for us. This row is going to be peppers, right there. This I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to put in there. I have an idea, but see, as you can see, I have a lot of this horsetail, and it is definitely coming up in areas that I don't have the fabric, but we'll see. I'd rather pick that many weeds than the amount I usually go through. This is a half row of potatoes. All right, my mic cut out on me there, so I'm not sure if I've said this already. I'll piece together the footage when I'm done. So there was a garden bed right up against this greenhouse, so that's been incorporated into this first bed here, and it's not 100% lined up, but we're meant to be lining up with these rows. So I was able to turn 2 4x8 beds and 1 long skinny bed that was not really good at growing anything into 2 3 by, what are we at here, maybe 3 by 15 beds. So I increased my real estate here, my growing real estate, without really sacrificing any space. And then where this trampoline pole is, this is peas. They are just starting to pop up. I planted them at the same time as potatoes. Usually I'd plant my peas first. That's why I have the pole here, so I remember where they are. And then, yeah, I'll just use these poles to build a trellis. Another bunch of chives. I really like chives, so I kind of stick them in everywhere. Some of these are starting to go to flower, but I could still get another good harvest off of these. And then this bed is a bed of weeds. This is where I'm doing an experiment with those garlic bulbils. Now this is their second year in here, but I didn't want to weed because they just look like blades of grass, like that's garlic. So I didn't want to wreck anything, so I just left all the weeds in here. So we'll dig this all up whenever garlic's ready, probably in August. See how the bulbils are looking, see if they're worth replanting. So we're now going into the perennial section, but this is quite a slope here. That's why this bed was originally put here, to hold up the slope. But what I'm thinking of doing is taking a line of mini ties, these, and digging down and making like a little mini retaining wall across here, so all these rows can end at the same point, and eliminating this bed. That's my plan for next year. I'm not going to do that this year. So up here is my hascaps. These are one of the first berries to set fruit. If you can see, these were covered in flowers. The bees love these. A mosquito. This is one of great first food for bees. If you're concerned about mowing your dandelions and you want to provide a nice food source for the bees, plant some hascaps. So that's what the flowers look like, but those are pretty much all done. And there's 1, 2, 3 bushes in here that I purchased a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago. This is their second year in this location. And then this is just a piece I took off of one of these, and it's a second year here as well. And then back here I have some raspberries, and this is a new raspberry bed I just put in. So some of these raspberries were already growing here, so I just kind of built the bed around it. I did stick some in, but of course the day I stuck it in, the next 2 days were nice. So they have, look at this one especially, they are kind of dying off. But that's okay. These raspberries spread like wildfire, whether you want them to or not. So this will be all a raspberry bed. And you can see these are second year canes, so they're starting to get their flowers on them. Raspberries here are more of a August crop. I will have, this month I'll have hascaps. These 3 beds are all asparagus beds. Now the plan with these was to blowtorch them and kill all the weeds before the asparagus came up. But my timing was just off. I was doing other things. So I did try to do it. Actually, I got my husband to try to do it. And he did, kill some of the weeds, but we didn't want to go too far because we don't want to kill the asparagus. So in the fall, I think what we're going to do is torch them. And then I might even try to top them up with fresh compost that won't have so many weeds in it. So this is all asparagus. We've had quite a few stalks, a dozen or 2 dozen or so. There's a good looking one that could be picked. There's another one there. These are not my best producing beds. Me and asparagus have a bit of a beef because it is one of my favorite vegetables, but I always seem to have issues growing it. But I think it's because I gave it kind of the worst real estate in the garden. There's another one there. And then back here is memorial garden for our dog Charlie. She passed 2 years ago. So I've just been kind of slowly getting some shade loving perennials in this area. I'd like to get a couple bleeding hearts. There's a local nursery called Norwood Gardens that I know has white and pink ones, so I want to go grab those from there. We've got a red astilbe, a white astilbe, whatever this thing is, winter glut. I don't know, it's something I grabbed at Walmart one day when I was in there. It just said perennial shade, so I grabbed it. And then a woman gave me this and told me it's creeping time. I'm not sure if it is because it hasn't spread at all, and it's been here a year, and I know creeping time does like to spread, but we'll see what it is. It doesn't really matter to me. We did a little trade. I gave her some bean seeds and she gave me some creeping thyme. It's Nova Scotia, so I've got random bits of driftwood here and there. And then these are 3 blueberry bushes. So I believe this is the 3rd year for this one. And I did notice it's getting some witch's broom, which makes sense. There's a spruce tree directly behind me. Probably the worst spot ever to pick to put blueberries, but it's hard to pick a spot where there isn't a spruce tree here. So that is, there are some flowers kind of starting. And then these ones are 2 years old. They're 2 different varieties. And yeah, they're greening up. We'll see if we get any blueberries. I think we got a dozen blueberries last year. So, oh, I'll show you the raspberries as well. And then of course, another random piece of driftwood decor. This may or may not be ground cherries. I did grow ground cherries here last year. And I did read that they self-seed, but I'm not sure if those are just weeds or not. So I'm just gonna let them grow a little further and see what they look like as they get bigger. And then I'll pull them if they are not what I wanted. This is a little bench here. We sit and reminisce or stare at the garden or have a popsicle break. It's shaded here in the afternoon. It is around 4? It's 20 to 5 right now. So this is when this part of the garden is shaded. So it's kind of nice sometimes to come out here after supper and have a popsicle in the summer. This is more raspberries. This is a bucket that was on the step that obviously the dog got a hold of. But they are also starting. You see, these are 2nd-year canes. So we should get some raspberries this year. We got quite a few last year, but not enough to make jam. So I'm hoping this is the year I get to make jam, because I even have an attachment for my Johnny applesauce maker that I could make it seedless, which sounds wonderful to me. So this is just the bugs are starting. This is the view from the back side. I'll take you for a quick trip and show you the squash tunnel. And then I'll show you a couple other little things we just have growing around the property, just so you can see the state of it. I haven't done much work outside of the garden. This was a lot of labor hours put into weeding. So I did show this in my last video, but this is for where we are selling our seedlings tomorrow. So all these will be for sale tomorrow, but this was just built. I built this out of 2 trampolines and some pieces from a carport. And then my husband welded some brackets on there for me, and then we covered it in a semi-transparent tarp. So it still gets sun from both sides, but this is where I plan on growing my cucumbers and pumpkins. I'm just gonna have to amend the soil. I have to send a message to a lady up the road and see if I can get a truckload of horse manure. So that was done too. This is the outside edge of the garden, and I broke up a hosta last year. The idea is that the hosta will overtake where the weeds are, and then when I mow, I can just mow along the hostas. So it's somewhat working. Oh, and I stuck some autumn sedum in there as well. We'll see how it goes. Anything that means I don't have to weed or whippersnip. So this is a grapevine that's on our front deck here. And this is what it looks like now, the end of May. We got, I forget how many, I'll put on the screen how many kilograms of grapes we got off this last year, but it's able to make jelly and juice. So that's the state it's in. We may be losing this. That's why I'm trying to take cuttings of it. And I'll probably try to dig it up too, but we'll have to see. We're hoping to build a new deck this year. All right, this is separate from the rest of the gardens. This is my perennial herb garden. This is all bullies that don't really get along with others, so I put them all together. I haven't done a thing over here, obviously. I haven't even cut out the old sage bush or anything. But there's lemon balm, there's some mint, there's thyme, there's a perennial onion, there's winter savory. There should be bee balm in here, but I'm not really seeing it. Sage, and there may be other things in here, I'm not sure. But anyway, I still gotta clean this up. That's a project for June, I suppose. And I did have a blackberry cane here. It's sitting beside the greenhouse in a bucket. I will find a spot for it. It just doesn't play well with others. So I want to, my husband is excavating. So our plan is to clear this whole area. We're not sure for what yet, but we've wanted to do it for years. We just really want to make use of every inch of our property that we have. because we're on a little over half an acre, so we want to really use it to its maximum potential on the lowest budget way possible. And then I think he's going to come here next and clear all this area. So I didn't want to leave the blackberry bush cane there because I didn't want it to get run over. It's a thornless variety. I'll take you up here. This is our chickens. Yes, bok bok. And I'm going to put a roof on this chicken coop. This year I have bought some reclaimed barn metal, so I can he charged me I think $25 per 12-foot length, so it shouldn't take too much to do this. But yeah, that's what our chickens are doing, chickening, liking the sun. And what else? I'll take you over to see these lupins. And then this is just against our wood shed, which I think we're taking down this year. It all hinges right now on if we're able to build a deck or not. We try to do everything with cash. We don't want to go in debt. So we have the money set aside for the deck, but we have enough money to do it ourselves, not to pay someone else. So the timing is, it's not just money, it's the time. So this is what the lupins look like. There is echinacea in here as well, but what I find is the lupins take off first, and then as the lupins die off, then the echinacea takes over. And up here, this is the other side of the chicken coop. So for a few years I did grow up here. There are garden boxes up here, but we kind of just let it all go to weed. So I think we're going to try to do a little something with it this year. But now that we have the little mini excavator, we can do a lot more. There's only so much I can do with the shovel without, you know, when you're spending hours and hours and hours on something and hardly making any progress. So yeah, this is an area we'd like to develop in the future, not necessarily to gardens, perhaps to something else. Like I did have raspberry canes up here. I am seeing like 2 or 3 canes that survived, but we'll see. All right, just to give you a little better view, that is everything. And we're hoping to get the heat lovers in the garden this weekend, start building some trellises, and I'll be back for another garden tour June 29th, and we'll see the progress we've made. Of course, I'll post videos along the way of other things we're doing. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye now.